sun, moon, and rising, it's time to have a look and see just what is going on when it comes to your month of January 2022 and your astrology. And just a quick heads up, if you happen to be watching this prior to the 15th of December 2021, you may want to consider checking out and signing up for my special 2-hour webinar all about the major astrological and energetic shifts of 2022. That's on Wednesday, the 15th of December at 5 p.m. Pacific, US and Canada. If you can't make it or you missed it, I will have the replays available for purchase as well, and replays are also available, of course, for everyone who signs up. And you can do that again at my website, integrativemysticism.com. Just follow the links below. It's the same place you would go to get a session with me. So what's going on when it comes to this month? Well, just a quick reminder, we still have Venus retrograde for the vast majority of the month in Capricorn, and this will be with us through the 29th of January. And I know we covered it in the December monthlies, and we also covered it in a special Venus retrograde video all by itself. But just in case for new people, I want to remind folks what's here. So with Venus retrograde in Capricorn, the big focus here is on your 4th house of home and family, your roots, the domicile, and your living situation. And Venus retrograde often presents us with the challenges or the shadow side of enmeshment. And so Venus retrograde works in a way where it puts pressure on cracks that are already there so that we can actually deal with the cracks, so we can actually create a sustainable solution that works in the highest interest of all concerned. When it comes to Venus retrograde in the 4th house, issues of volatility, insecurity, escapism, and instability are likely in family matters as well as in any kind of matter relating to household economy, or maybe living situations, or even, rental situations, landlord situations, because circumstances that have, let's just say, bad seeds, or situations that may be rooted incorrectly, or problems that got started. And again, with the 4th house, we are looking at things that are very old, that have been allowed to grow or allowed to flourish, are getting amplified in order to be revealed and then released. This can be a very trying time, especially for uncooperative people. But at the same time, I feel that for a lot of you Libra people, this is also going to be a wonderful opportunity for you to do a great deal of purging and a great deal of clearing in order to actually mend a lot of problems that have been maybe systemic in family situations or in a household business situation, a household economy circumstance. Just be careful with conflicts that come up at this time, because we are going to be unraveling before we start sowing new seeds. And again, more on that in the December monthlies and the special Venus retrograde video. Now, the first half of the month, we've got the sun in Capricorn, which is in that same 4th house, really taking the edge off. And we've got, that attention, enhancement, and support going through and focusing on making sure that we are getting a chance to do a lot of boosting and doing a lot of repair work, retroactive, right? Going back to, healing things from their start, going back and from the past, as well as, creating a lot of new construction for you. Now, this could indicate a lot of transformations on the living situation front. This is a great time for those of you that are looking to purge anything out of your life that has been keeping you from maybe living in the home you want to live or having the household you want to have. Possibly even, yes, confronting old issues or consistent problems that seem to keep coming up as it relates to relatives, or maybe even your family from your past, all the way even going back into childhood. It's a very, very strong month for really starting to just confront things for how they are. Just remember, with the sun, we're also drawing in support. This could also be material support, as well as social support, family support from other relatives. You are going to have backup during this time. And you will also notice that if you do have a home-based business, this is just the beginning of a very strong trend for you this month, and that your household economy is definitely going to be going through a massive spike in income, in spite of everything we just spoke about with Venus retrograde. Now, we also have Mercury in Aquarius direct in the first half of the month. In your fifth house of love, romance, partnerships, as well as anything to do with your relationships with your kids or creative projects or recreational pursuits. With Mercury, the planet of communications, haste, and speed here, we are actually seeing a lot of you Libra people start to open up new adventures to go on with your partners, with your kids, and ways to actually speed up development, progress, and evolution in all of your relationships and projects in this part of your life. You may find that with Mercury here, if there's anything that's been maybe developing too slowly, it's not necessarily catching, a good momentum, whether it has to do with maybe a relationship we're working on trying to get off the ground, or maybe we are in a relationship and we are working on actually moving things forward to a new phase, start a new chapter, get really more established in a more secure era, or maybe even reinvent the relationship. Mercury is all about speeding up the productivity towards that goal. We also have Mercury speeding up the advancement of a lot of creative and even potentially lucrative, but not always lucrative projects that you may be trying to debut or put out there to the world, and even open up new lines of communication and facilitate new communication norms with your kids. We also have Mars in Sagittarius for the first half of the month in your third house of communications, pacts, promises, and commitments and contracts. And this can also, to a certain degree, talk about your peer group. Now, with Mars in the third house, we have that action, driving force, passion, energy, and obstacle clearing really going to work for you. Because with Mars in the third house, you're going to be finding that this first half of the month, people are not only really showing up for you, but you may actually find that either a friend, whether it's a friend you know or a new person, is coming in and helping you fight a lot of battles when it comes to cutting yourself free from a lot of attachments and ties that bind. This is also a great time of the month for a lot of you to be able to whip into shape your peer group, or if you are looking to actually build a completely new climate for you and your peers to work in, thrive in, and socialize in, this is the time to strike that new, or maybe make that new territory known. Strike isn't really necessarily a bad word, it's just wasn't leading me to the sentence I wanted to say. The other thing I wanted to mention about Mars and Sagittarius is that you are getting into a space where you're getting a very big competitive edge as an influencer over a lot of your community. However that is defined for you, whether this has to do with friends, whether this has to do with the neighborhood, your job, or a certain corner of your field. People are listening to you, and you may be finding that you are also able to finally push back against a lot of things that have been maybe creating more problems than solutions for everybody involved. Just be careful with Mars in the third house, because sometimes we may think we're being assertive when we're actually coming off really aggressive, and we don't want to alienate ourselves by overexerting or maybe coming on too strong in important conversations or in important negotiations. We also have a new moon in Capricorn, which is occurring on the 2nd of the month, which is opening up a window between the 2nd of the month and the 17th of the month for new beginnings, new cycles, and seed planting as it relates to your 4th house of home and family, the domicile and household economy. This is a time where a lot of you Libra people may be finding out about an opportunity to make a big jump, whether it is a new move, a new place to live, or maybe even pulling in some kind of new opportunity for yourself with regards to maybe a shift in how you want to handle your home and family, maybe a new set of boundaries, a new income avenue when it comes to your financial life as it relates to household economy, either what's going on with you and your own money, your own investments, or contributions coming from other members of your household going through a considerable boost boost at this time, we're making everything a lot more secure. And so allow yourself to, during that 2-week period, start to get things reorganized for a much higher way of being. Because what's happening here is that the material quality of life and the familial quality of life is going through a major blow up in the beginning of January. The second half of the month, we have the sun moving into Aquarius, which is, of course, that fifth house of romance, relationships, recreation, creative projects, and parenthood. And so the sun is now bringing that attention enhancement and support to start bringing in more fun, more levity, and deeper bonding opportunities to create a lot of new normals in this area of your life. This is a great time for those of you that have been looking to actually bring in more levity, more play, more adventure, especially as it relates to getting to be more vulnerable, getting to be kids again with a partner, or maybe even bring that element into a budding relationship, bringing a lot more of that silliness, just bringing a lot more of that lighthearted fun in. And what happens with that is that there's a very strong magnet that occurs, because with the sun in the fifth house, we're also creating a much more pure bond, or a pure way of continuing to connect. And the same thing can also occur in your relationships with your children. This could even be very healing, or maybe even very revolutionizing when it comes to how you are handling your relationships with your kids. Because when the sun is in our fifth house, whether we're talking about partners, existing or new, or our kids, what's happening is we are learning how to carry on a completely new relationship with the same people, or somebody new if it's a new romantic partner. When it comes to Mars then moves into Capricorn the second half of the week as well. So we've got a lot of activity with a lot of these planets kind of just jumping all over the place. Mars moves into your fourth house the second week. That action, passion, driving force, obstacle clearing energy, where he will be through much of February. Mars in the fourth house is a time for whipping things into shape, conquering old challenges, conquering old problems, and really eliminating things that have been maybe holding us back or binding us to a certain era or a certain history, or maybe even a certain legacy. Now, this could, of course, be all about family as it relates to what's been going on in your immediate household, or things that have been passed down to you from generations past, from your parents, grandparents, and things like that. And very much like Venus retrograde, Mars can also raise the roof as far as emotional tension is concerned, but it's all about the interest of knocking down walls and problem solving, because now we are also purging a lot of things that have contained you or limited you or put a glass ceiling over your head or your family's head in this area. You're also going to find that, yes, your household economy is going through a major boost. Those of you who have a home-based business operation may be finding you're burning the midnight oil a bit, but at the same time, we are also getting a chance to have the power and the resources to transform everything about our home environment. We also have Mercury turning retrograde in the second week of the month. And Mercury retrograde's transit's a bit funny. He spends the 14th through the 25th in Aquarius, and then slides back into Capricorn on the 25th through the beginning of February. So with Mercury retrograde in your fifth house from the 14th to the 25th, we're actually seeing an opportunity for you to do some revisiting, revising, and rearranging of a lot of the terms of a lot of relationships, a lot of collaborations that you've got going on, and even some of the boundaries that you may have, or standards or things like that you hold with your kids. And the reason we're doing this is because there are some things that we get a chance to maybe revive or renew that could be really, really good for us. Things that maybe we dropped, we left behind, that we shouldn't have left behind, or we shouldn't have left by the roadside. A lot of you may be finding that if you're in a committed partnership now, you're getting a chance to go through a lot of beautiful experiences that bring you back in touch with the core of this relationship at its best. But Mercury retrograde can be very challenging because sometimes what can happen is that it also forces us to take a look at what we are doing that is not in alignment with that we need to dismantle, or that we need to, again, revise or rearrange or reevaluate altogether. Some of you may be reevaluating your relationship futures, where you are going in the future with a partner. And some of you may also find that if you are single or available, opportunities to maybe revisit an old kind of relationship or maybe an old flame will also be on the table. Finally, we have a full moon in Cancer on the 17th, which creates a 2-week window from the 17th of January through the very beginning of February. And a full moon in Cancer, your 10th house of career, upward mobility, promotions, status, your station. This is all about you getting a chance to graduate out of a position or out of a status that you've held for a very long time. Some of you may find that, yes, the second half of the month, promotional opportunities or transfers or transitions that actually still move you up are going to be put on the table. We are closing an era or closing a chapter in your career. Some of you may find that this occurs internally with your current business or your current employment situation, and some of you may find that it takes you to an external place, whether it's a transfer to a different space, same employer, or possibly going to a whole new employer altogether. But with the full moon in Cancer, we are seeing that this is opening up something that you are definitely getting a chance to move on up with and through. So that is what I've got for you, Libra people. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You know I appreciate it. And should you ever want to get a session with me, go on ahead to my website. It's integrativemysticism.com.